Hello there, mathematicians. Today's objective is students will be able to convert between fractions, decimals, and percentages. Okay, get that down. You can tell my voice is a little rough from the homecoming game last night and yelling at the football game, which was an awesome victory. Hopefully you were there. Okay, let's get started with this. A percent. Okay, we all ought to know what a percent looks like. You know, it could be 33%. I'm going to go through this quickly. We'll go over what a percent means in a second. A decimal. Okay, you know, we have a whole number in a decimal sometimes. We have 0.4 sometimes we just show it as 0.4. Those are all decimals. Remember, and actually both of these, the word and, decimals and fractions, the word and can tell us, hey, that's a decimal or a fraction. You know, if it said like, he made 3 out of 5 free throws, let's just say. So the out of tells us it's a fraction. And this is our review. You know, we have 3/4 as a fraction, 2 1/4 would be a mixed number. And then an improper fraction might be something like 5/3. Remember, that's improper. Okay, in this lesson, it's really important, two things. One, that you can do these by hand if you have to, because that will really help us with our thinking. And when we get to later on in algebra, some factoring in algebra 2, we need to know how to do some of these by hand. And then also, the second thing is, you have to know how to do these on your calculator. So on the test, it can save you time and you can get the answer right. So make sure as we're doing these by hand, you also check them on your calculator to make sure you know how to do them. Okay. The first thing, let's actually go down here first. Oops, let's go back up. Percent means, well, it means out of 100. Okay, percent means out of 100. So to make a percent a fraction, you simply put the number over 100. 100 becomes your denominator. Okay. And 100 in Spanish, as you guys probably know, means 100. Okay, so I always, you know, the cien, that's the way a lot of kids remember it. It's out of 100. All right, so going back up here to change percents, which again, out of 100. To change percents to fraction, we're simply going to first write number over 100. Okay, we're going to drop the percent symbol, and then 3, with all fractions we have to simplify, okay, or reduce the fraction. Okay, let's do these first few together. 2% as a fraction, well, follow the steps. We write 2. Percentages are always out of 100. Okay, and then we have to look to reduce. Well, these are both even numbers, so I know 2 will go into both of these. Divide by 2 is equal to 1/50. Okay. Now, check it on your calculator. If you have like the blue calculators, you can punch in the 2% button and then equals, change it to a decimal, and then hit the F to D button and change it to a fraction. Okay. If you have the big graphing calculators, you simply do 2 divided by 100. That's why you got to know it's out of 100. You'll get you the decimal, and then hit the math button, and then the 1 or the enter and convert it to a fraction. Okay, so double check it. All right, next one, 22%. Well, we would write it as 22 over what? 100. Okay, and then reduce. I know these are both even. Okay, because this one ends in 2, this one ends in 0. So I'm going to divide by 2, give me 11/50. 50. Okay. Now, you can check this on your calculator. Everyone do this. If you don't have your calculator next to you, you need to pause and go grab it. Okay. So everyone on your calculator, no matter what kind you have, do 11 divided by 50, and it should give you a decimal, and then convert that to a fraction. And the fraction that it will give you is 11 over 50, which tells you this is the simplified form or simplified number of 22%. All right, next one, 222%. Same thing. Percents are always out of 100. Okay? And if you simplify this, you're going to get 111 over 50. Because again, you can divide by 2, divide by 2. Punch in your calculator, that is the simplified form. Okay, hit pause and do practice 2 problems, numbers 4 through 8. Those must be done when you come to class. So hit pause, do those now. Okay, here are the answers. Double check your work and your answers with these right here. Again, I did not show the work, but you should on yours. Alright, let's go to the next page. Okay, the only thing that we're going to add to this is now we're also going to convert percents to decimals. Okay, well, percentages are out of 100, and the fraction bar means to divide. So if we want to turn them to decimals, we simply need to divide by 100. If we want to turn them in fractions, we just show it same thing. Division, it should be a over. So we just, same thing, we're dividing by 100, we just show it as a fraction bar. Okay? So to convert 30% to a decimal, just do 30 divided by 100. Again, because percentages are out of 100. So divide by 100 and you'll get 0.3. Or you could say 0.3. Okay, next one, 107 divided by 100 will give you 1.07. And the last one, this is the one where students make the most mistakes. Okay, 4%. Divide by 100 and you get 0.04. The most common mistake, okay, is to do this, to write 0.4. Okay, that is wrong. That's 40%. That's 40%, not 4%. Okay, so again, the key, divide by 100. Now, whenever you're dividing by 100, and some of you probably learned it this way, what you're actually doing is just moving the decimal place 2 places to the left. So the decimal in 30 is right there. You're moving it 2 places to the left. 107, it was right there. You're moving it 2 places to the left when you divide by 100. Okay, and then for the last one, the 4%, okay, the decimal's right there. You're moving it 1, 2. There's an empty loop, so you fill in a 0. Okay? Alright. So, now to do the fractions, again, we've already done this. 30%, 30 over 100. Gotta reduce it. Remember, you always gotta reduce. So on your calculator, you can punch in 30 divided by 100, convert it back to a fraction, and it gives you 3 over 10. Or those of you with the blue calculators can just punch in the 30 fraction button, which is the ABC button. If you don't know where it's at, hit pause and find it, and then 100, and then hit equals, and it will reduce it for you. Okay, this one would be 107 over 100. This one is reduced all the way. It's an improper fraction. It's reduced all the way in this case. This one would be 4 over 100, which would turn into 1 over 25. Okay. Want you guys doing this next table. So hit pause now, fill in the next table. Okay, here are the answers to the table. Double check yours with the ones that I have. If you got them wrong, mark them wrong and correct them and make a note. So for example, if you didn't simplify one of these, or you didn't simplify it all the way, mark it wrong and write really big simplify. That way when you go back to say, it's like, hey, I need to make sure I simplify on the test. Alright. Practice 2. Once you guys hit pause, do that quick. Okay, it says 80%. Oops, need to convert the pen. 80%. Right away, as I'm using cups, I write that out. Of all life on Earth is below below the ocean surface. Wow, that's a lot. Write 80% as a decimal. Well, we now know how to do that. 80% is decimal, you divide by 100. So 80 divided by 100 would give you 0.8. Okay. All right, next part, changing fractions to percentages. So look at these examples down here. If you have 17 over 100 or 4 over 50, how would you turn those into percentages? Well, we're kind of going to work backward. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make it a decimal. So we're going to make it a decimal. Okay. And how do we do that? Well, we're just going to divide. Okay. And then the second thing, remember to go from a percent to a decimal, we divided by 100. Well, now to go the backwards way, to reverse that, to go from a decimal to a percent, we're going to multiply by 100. Okay? So on these first ones, 17 divided by 100, well, this one, it's already out of 100. It's already out of 100. And that tells us, oh, it's already a percent. So this first one, we should actually just know, because it's out of 100 already, that 17 is the percentage. Okay? But if we want to do the work for it, if we want to double check, everyone do 17 divided by 100. That will give you a decimal. We need a percent, so multiply it by 100, and you'll get 17. Do the next one. 4 divided by 50. Okay, that'll give you 0.08, and then times it by 100 to get 8%. Don't forget the percent symbol. It's not 8, it's 8%. Next one, 3 divided by 10. You should know that. We'll give you 0.3. Multiply by 100, and you get 30%. Okay? All right, let's go on to the next page. All right, why don't you guys do these? Let's see, that's right above to a percent. So convert those fractions to a percent, and then go ahead and do the next ones down here, the practice 2. So do these 3 problems, do these 6 problems. So hit pause, do those now. Okay, this first one, if you use your calculator on this, come on, really? 5 out of 10, that's half of them. Yeah, no, that's 50%. Okay, 2 divided by 3, this should actually also be a fraction that we have memorized. If you divide that, you get 0.6 repeating. So when you times it by 100, you're going to get 66.6 repeating, put the bar above it to show repeating, percent. 6 over 100, it's already over 100. That tells us this top number is the percentage because it's already over 100. So this is just 6%. 3/10. Okay, well that tells us it's a what? Tells us it's a decimal. So the tenths place, we have to put in a 3. Multiply that by 100 to turn it to percent, and you get 30%. Okay. 32 hundredths. Again, tells us decimal. Okay, so I do the point. This is the tenths. This is the hundredths. Tenths, hundreds. So I just fill in 32. Got to change it to percent, so multiply by 100, and that gives me 32%. Okay, 1 and 3 hundredths. Well, the 1's the whole. The and tells us, oh, it's a part of a number, so the decimal or the fraction. 3 hundredths. So I'm going to write 1 and the decimal. I need to go up to the hundredths. So this is the tenths, this is the hundredths. So I need to fill in that 3 at the very end, and what goes here is 0. If you multiply that by 100, you get 103%. Okay, those are your answers to those. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, decimals to percentages and fractions. Some of you have been struggling on the spiral with some of these, so we've got to get these down right now. Alright, so 5.7 as a percent. Well, to convert any number to a percent, so if we're going from a regular number, we're going from a regular number to a percent, okay, we have to multiply by 100. Oops, multiply by. Okay. So remember this. If you're going from a percent to a number, you have to divide by 100. And the way I kind of remember that is if you have, like, let's just say 90%. Okay. Look at this percent symbol. It kind of looks like a what? Kind of looks like a division sign. So if we have a percent and we're converting to a number, just think, oh, in order to drop that percent sign, I got to divide. And you got to divide by what? Well, you got to divide by 100. Okay? But if we're going to a percentage from a regular number or a fraction, we have to multiply by 100. So this first one of 5.7, to convert it to a percent, we need to multiply by 100. And that will give us 570%. Okay. Now, the fraction. This is where a lot of you guys are still making mistakes. Okay. Picture, like, if you have like 5.7 pizzas, how many whole pizzas do you have? You still have the 5 whole pizzas. So our whole number is still 5. The 7 is the part, okay, that we have left of the pizza. Well, 7 is in what decimal place? It's the tenths decimal place. So we're going to put the 7 over what number, do you think? The 7 is going to go over 10. Okay? So our answer in this one is 5 7/10. Now, you should also be able to do this on your calculator. Okay, especially if you have the blue ones. You can punch in 5.7, convert it to a fraction, and if it gives you an improper fraction, meaning if it gives you, I think it give you, let's see, 57 over 10, hit the second button and then the ABC button and look above it, and that'll convert it to a mixed number. Again, if you have the blue TI-30X2S, okay, or something similar to that. Alright, the next one, 15.13. Well, how do we do it to percent? From a number to a percent, we multiply by 100. So that would be 1,513%. Don't forget the commas. Okay. Well, how would we do it to a fraction? Well, you keep the whole number, right? That's the whole that we still have. We still have 15. Now we got to just convert this decimal to a fraction. Well, how many decimal places does it have? It has the tenths and then the hundredths. So what do you think we're going to write 13 out of? Well, it goes out to the hundredths place value, so we need to write it over 100. Okay, and then you should always look to simplify, so you can punch in 13 fraction 100, okay, and then equals, or you can do 13 divided by 100, hit equals, convert that decimal back to fraction, and you will see it is simplified. Alright, the next one, 45.987 to a percent. Again, to go from a number to a percent, we do what? Multiply by 100. So this would be 45,4598.7%. Don't forget the commas. Okay. To convert it to a fraction, we keep the whole number, the 45. Okay. 987, well, this is the tenths, this is the hundredths, this is the thousandths decimal place. So it's going to be 987 over 1,000. Okay. And then finally 0.5, we got to know this. This is 50%. What's this fraction? You got to know this. You better not be using a calculator. 1/2. Okay. All right. Why don't you guys do these next two problems? So go ahead and hit pause now and do these next two problems. Okay. I want you guys to practice these. That way you can come to class and we can check your answers and see if you're good to go. So for homework, and this must be done before class, you need to do the next page. So let's go to it. You need to do this page, fill out these two tables, okay? And then you also need to do these more practice problems, okay, all the way up to, clearly you're not going to do objective 113, so you just need to do those 4 problems. Should only take about 10-15 minutes more, okay?